You wake up, head to the kitchen, and pour yourself a tall glass of what you think is a healthy start to your day. You're doing everything right. You exercise, you try to eat well, you follow the advice you see online. But then, day after day, and especially night after night, the frustration continues. That urgent, nagging feeling that you have to go, right now. The weak stream that makes you feel like you never quite empty the tank. And of course, the trips to the bathroom that chop up your sleep, leaving you exhausted and grumpy the next day. If this sounds like your life, you are not alone. Millions of men over 50 are dealing with the maddening symptoms of an enlarged prostate, also known as BPH. They follow all the rules, but the problem just doesn't get better. But what if I told you, as a urologist with decades of experience, that one of your healthy habits could be quietly sabotaging your prostate health? What if the very drink you trust to do your body good is actually making your symptoms worse? It's a situation I see in my clinic all the time. Men who are trying so hard to be healthy, but who unknowingly drink things every single day that can irritate the prostate and bladder, cranking up the volume on their urinary troubles. Today, we're going to unmask these deceptive drinks. I'm going to reveal the top 5 types of seemingly innocent beverages that could be a major source of your discomfort. What I'm about to share could be the missing piece of your health puzzle, the key to finally getting the relief you've been searching for. So stick with me, because we're starting with one of the most surprising offenders. The dairy deception, milk and your prostate. The first drink I need to warn you about is maybe the most ingrained in our culture as a symbol of health, milk. From the time we're kids, we're taught that milk builds strong bones. Many of my patients, trying to stay healthy as they age, make it a point to drink milk or have dairy every day. But when it comes to prostate health, the science is a bit more complicated and, frankly, worth paying attention to. Let's talk about a patient of mine. We'll call him Harold. Harold was 68, a retired teacher who was at his wit's end. He was getting up 4, sometimes 5 times a night. He couldn't get through a movie without a bathroom break. He was having low-fat milk with his oatmeal every morning, thinking he was making a heart-healthy choice. He was stunned when I suggested his morning milk might be part of the problem. Here's the science, and it's a little controversial. Some large-scale studies have suggested a potential link between high dairy intake and prostate issues. For instance, one study found that men drinking about 1 3/4 cups of milk daily had a higher risk of developing prostate cancer than men who had very little. This link was seen with both full-fat and low-fat milk, which suggests it might not just be about fat. So, what could be going on? One theory involves a hormone called insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. Dairy can raise IGF-1 levels, and while that's great for growth in teenagers, in adult men, high levels might encourage cell growth in the prostate. Another consideration is that some dairy products are high in saturated fats. A diet high in these fats can promote low-grade inflammation, and the prostate can be sensitive to this. This irritation could potentially cause the prostate to swell, tightening its grip on the urethra and making symptoms like urgency and weak stream even worse. For Harold, cutting back on milk and trying a plant-based alternative made a huge difference. In a few weeks, his nightly bathroom trips were cut in half. It's not a magic pill, but it shows how a simple change can have a big impact. The healthy juice trap. Next up is a category many people turn to for a quick hit of vitamins: fruit juice. That morning glass of orange juice, a grapefruit juice, or even lemonade feels like a healthy move. It's from fruit. How could it be bad? Well, for an already irritated prostate and bladder, some of these juices can be like pouring salt in a wound. The main issue with many fruit juices, especially citrus ones like orange and grapefruit juice, is their high acidity. Your bladder is a sensitive organ, and if you have BPH, it's already under stress. When you drink highly acidic beverages, that acid gets filtered into your urine. This acidic urine then sits in your bladder, and for some men, it can seriously irritate the bladder lining. This irritation sends a screaming signal to your brain: empty me now. This is where that feeling of constant, intense urgency comes from. It's not always that your bladder is full. Sometimes it's just angry. Take another one of my patients, David, age 62. He was a real health nut who started every day with a big glass of fresh squeezed OJ. He was proud of his vitamin C intake, but was also one of my most frustrated patients, constantly hunting for the nearest restroom. The idea that his healthy juice was the villain was a total shock to him. Beyond the acid, there's another problem: sugar. Many commercial juices, even 100% juice, are loaded with sugar and have none of the fiber of the whole fruit. This sugar bomb can contribute to inflammation, which, as we've discussed, is bad news for BPH symptoms. Sweetened drinks like fruit punch and lemonade are often a double whammy of both acid and sugar. When David swapped his daily juice for a whole orange or a handful of berries, his symptoms got so much better. He still got his vitamins, but without the concentrated acid and sugar that put his bladder on high alert. So if you're fighting that constant urge to go, take a hard look at that glass of juice. It might be doing you more harm than good. The caffeinated contradiction: coffee, tea, and your bladder. Now we arrive at one of the world's favorite rituals, the morning cup of coffee or tea. This is a tough one for a lot of my patients to swallow because it's more than a drink. It's a non-negotiable start to the day. And to make things extra confusing, you've probably heard about the health benefits. Some studies even suggest that compounds in coffee may lower the risk of aggressive prostate cancer. And green tea is packed with antioxidants. But for men with BPH symptoms, here's the great contradiction. The issue isn't necessarily the coffee or tea itself, it's the caffeine. Caffeine is a well-known diuretic. Simply put, it tells your kidneys to make more urine faster. So you're not just adding liquid, you're hitting the turbo button on urine production. For a guy whose system is already struggling, that's a recipe for frequent bathroom trips. But wait, there's more. Caffeine also acts as a direct bladder stimulant. It can make the bladder muscle twitchy and overactive, which you feel as intense urgency. Think of your bladder as a balloon that BPH has already made smaller and harder to empty. Now, caffeine comes along and starts squeezing that balloon at random. That's why 1 cup of coffee can send some men scrambling for the bathroom multiple times. It's a double whammy: more pee and a more irritated bladder. This applies to all caffeinated drinks: coffee, black tea, green tea, and many sodas and energy drinks. I often have patients say, "But doc, I switched to green tea for my health." And I have to explain this paradox. While the antioxidants in green tea are great for your overall health, the caffeine can make your day-to-day BPH symptoms unbearable. When it comes to managing symptoms, caffeine is often the enemy. You have to weigh the potential long-term benefits against the guaranteed short-term misery of a bladder that's constantly screaming at you. Kicking caffeine can be rough. Withdrawal headaches are no joke. I tell my patients to taper off. Mix in some decaf. Go from 3 cups to 2, then 1. Switching to caffeine-free herbal teas can be a game changer. The goal is to give your bladder a break from that constant stimulation so it can finally calm down. The fizzy menace: carbonated drinks. Our 4th category is a sneaky one because it includes drinks people often see as healthy: carbonated beverages. I'm not just talking about sugary sodas, but also sparkling water, seltzers, and club soda. A lot of people swap soda for sparkling water, thinking it's a great choice. And while it's definitely better than a cola, the fizz itself can be a problem for a sensitive bladder. The issue seems to be the carbonation itself. The dissolved carbon dioxide gas that creates the bubbles can be irritating to the bladder lining for some people. Just like we talked about with acidic juices, this irritation can trigger that same feeling of urgency and frequency. Think about it from your bladder's point of view. It's already being squeezed by an enlarged prostate and is in a sensitive state. Now you're sending in a fizzy liquid that can be an irritant. The result is predictable: an even more agitated bladder and more trips to the men's room. A patient of mine, Robert, 71, was a huge fan of sparkling water. He drank several bottles a day, thinking it was the perfect way to hydrate without sugar. He couldn't figure out why he had to go all the time, even though he'd cut out coffee. When we pinpointed the sparkling water as a possible trigger, he switched to plain flat water. Within a week, he noticed a big difference. The problem gets even worse with sodas. Regular sodas hit you with both carbonation and a ton of sugar, which fuels inflammation. Diet sodas often contain artificial sweeteners, which can also be independent bladder irritants for some people. So with diet soda, you could be getting a triple hit of carbonation, acid, and artificial sweeteners. The takeaway is simple. If you're struggling with BPH symptoms, flat is your friend. Plain water is best, but we'll get to other options in a minute. Ditching the fizz is a simple change that can have a surprisingly big impact. The social saboteur, alcohol. The last category we need to talk about is alcohol. For a lot of men, a beer during the game, a glass of wine at dinner, or a cocktail with friends is a huge part of social life. But when it comes to your prostate, alcohol can be a major saboteur, making your symptoms worse in a few different ways. First, just like caffeine, alcohol is a diuretic. It tells your body to get rid of fluid, which is why you have to pee so much when you're drinking. For a guy with BPH, this extra urine production puts more strain on an already overworked bladder, leading to more urgency and waking you up at night. Second, alcohol is a direct bladder irritant. Similar to acidic and carbonated drinks, it can aggravate the sensitive lining of the bladder, making you feel like you have to go even when you don't have to. This irritation is a key driver of those frustrating urinary symptoms. But the assault doesn't stop there. Heavy alcohol use can also promote inflammation throughout your body, which, as we've covered, can make the prostate swell even more. Some research also suggests heavy drinking might mess with your hormones, which isn't great for long-term prostate health. I had a patient, Tom, 65, who loved his 2 nightly glasses of red wine. He thought it was good for his heart and was baffled by why he was waking up 3 or 4 times every single night. I explained how alcohol, especially in the evening, was likely driving his symptoms. He decided to try an experiment. For 2 weeks, he swapped his evening wine for chamomile tea. The results blew him away. He started sleeping for 4, sometimes 5 hours straight, only waking up once. He felt better, had more energy, and realized he didn't have to give up alcohol completely. He just had to be smarter about it, especially avoiding it in the few hours before bed. Before we get to the good news, what you should be drinking, I want to ask a quick favor. If this information is clicking for you, if a light bulb just went on about your own health, please take a second and hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, think about subscribing. My whole goal here is to empower men with clear, no-nonsense information to take back control of their health. And your support helps this message get to guys who really need it. And I'd love to build a community here. Drop a comment below and let me know how old you are and where you're watching from. It's amazing to see how far this information spreads. The solution. What you should be drinking. Okay, I know, I've spent the last few minutes taking away your milk, your OJ, your coffee, your seltzer, and your nightcap. You're probably thinking, great, Doc. What's left? Water? And you're right, but stick with me. There are plenty of fantastic prostate-friendly options that will hydrate you and help soothe your system. The undisputed champion, the king of all beverages for your bladder, is plain old water. It's free of calories, sugar, caffeine, acid, and fizz. It gives your body exactly what it needs, pure hydration to help flush everything out without causing irritation. Proper hydration is crucial, because if your urine gets too concentrated, it can become an irritant itself. The goal is to drink enough during the day that your urine is a pale, straw yellow color. Here's a pro tip. Front load your fluids. Drink most of your water in the morning and afternoon, and then really cut back in the 2 to 3 hours before bed. This is a huge help for cutting down on those nighttime bathroom runs. But I get it. Water can be boring. So what else is on the approved list? Your new best friends are caffeine-free herbal teas. Think about options like chamomile, which is known for its calming effects, peppermint tea, which is soothing, or rooibos tea, which is packed with antioxidants but has zero caffeine. These give you that warm, satisfying ritual you might miss from coffee, but without the irritating side effects. If you're looking for a juice alternative, think about ones that might offer benefits. Tomato juice is an interesting choice because tomatoes are full of an antioxidant called lycopene. While the science is still developing, lycopene has been studied for its potential protective effects on the prostate. Watermelon juice is another good option as it's very hydrating and less acidic than citrus juice. And for a milk alternative, the market is full of great plant-based milks. Almond, oat, or soy milk work perfectly in cereal or smoothies. Just make sure you grab the unsweetened versions to avoid those hidden sugars. The key is to make a conscious switch. Instead of reaching for a drink that stimulates and irritates, choose one that hydrates and soothes. Making these simple swaps can, over time, seriously reduce the irritation on your bladder and improve your quality of life. So we've unmasked 5 groups of drinks that, while seeming harmless, could be making your prostate symptoms worse. First, dairy milk due to potential effects on hormones and inflammation. Second, acidic and sugary fruit juices that can irritate the bladder. Third, caffeinated drinks like coffee and tea, which act as both a diuretic and a bladder stimulant. Fourth, fizzy drinks, including sparkling water, whose carbonation can be an irritant for some. And finally, alcohol, which dehydrates you while irritating your bladder. I know this is a lot and changing lifelong habits is hard, but I want to leave you with this. You are in the driver's seat. Knowledge is power, and you now have critical information that might be the key to feeling better. You don't have to do it all at once. Just start with one thing. Pick the drink from this list you have most often and try cutting it out for just 2 weeks. Pay attention to how you feel. Notice any changes in your symptoms or your sleep. It's those small, consistent changes that lead to big results. You have the power to calm things down and reclaim your comfort. It all starts with the next glass you choose to drink. Thank you for your time. Be well and take care.